Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. Today I'm with a very special guest, the one and only Kateel.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Very good. Might not sound like a long time coming for you, but for me, this interview has been a long time coming. I really appreciate you taking time to do this.
Most definitely, man. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, and it's crazy because I feel like there's so many voices going on right now. There's like local Seattle artists trying to talk to you, fans trying to talk to you, people in the industry, and I feel like from the outside looking in right now, I feel like you're trying to establish your image for how you want the world to see you, right?
Yeah. So
like taking time to do a podcast, I feel like it sometimes could be scary, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate you doing this. Like,
mm-hmm.
let's start with artists.
Mm-hmm.
So what I see, you did a lot of collaboration like leading up to your success you've seen, right?
Yeah.
And now it seems like artists from everywhere around Seattle is trying to collaborate with you.
Mm-hmm.
And then I see you doing basketball games like the martial law band and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So how do you figure out if these are artists that actually are trying to make meaningful connections and be friends with you, or they're noticing that you have this like attention?
Yeah. Well, I kind of I would say I fill it out, and then also from getting like different requests and DM requests over time, like you can kind of tell who's like this, for example, like this is a legit opportunity to get on a podcast. So I was like, hell yeah, let's set it up. Some people would just hit you up and you can kind of tell just from the message, like they just want something out of you or they trying to level up. But a lot of the artists that I'm working with now and that I have worked with recently, like some of them, if not most of them and all of them, like I've known, like I've known for like Steegy, I knew for like 2 years. Q, I've known since like PMO Showtime. I know him since I was in like 6th grade. We played with the same AAU team.
Yeah.
So there's like a lot of artists who used to play basketball, like myself, that I've reconnected with. Zayside as well. I've known Isaiah since like I played against him in the AAU circuit. So we all got, a connection in that. Ellis is just super dope. We recently, Ellis Prescott, just linked up and shit. He's just dope, man. Like,
and his sister even. Ooh.
Yeah. Laze, fire as fuck, man. So I've just honestly, like, me personally, like, I've just wanted to link with as many dope artists as possible, and I'm just grateful that they fuck with me as well. So, yeah. I mean, I could go on. There's, like, plenty of artists that I'm not naming, but they know I fuck with them. So
that's crazy.
Hella artists.
Do you feel like it's hard? Is it easier? It's probably easier to like sort through people over social media, but when it comes to like in person, how do you know how to interact with certain people?
That's a good question. Yeah, because I would say like people, like when they think you're dope in person, and they want to make something happen. Again, it's even easier for me to fill out like who's genuine. So in person, I just try to keep it very cordial and just keep it simple. I don't like to commit to things necessarily, or like if somebody's like super anxious or anticipating a response from me, I might like hold off a little bit and be like, oh yeah, like hit me, like email me, because I got to think about it. And I, want to make sure it's worthy, because I feel like all of the collaborations I do, like it's mutually beneficial. So in person, I'm a very like approachable person and like friendly person. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm finna work with everybody. So yeah, I just I don't know. Sifting through it is just kind of like a personal decision, like for every artist. And
artists, I don't think people like to think about this, but artists are probably more sensitive than the normal person, honestly.
Oh, definitely. No, for sure.
So, how did this success come to be, though? So I've seen you on Sway, SoundCloud interviews, sitting down with Fat Joe. I definitely want to get into that later. So, from the Sway interview I listened to, almost 2 to 3 years ago, you were homeless.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to start there.
Okay. Yeah.
So, that's a lot of things. When I think of like Seattle artists, or even when you think of like LA artists, Atlanta artists, wherever, when you think of people outside of Seattle, especially, they can pop in Atlanta, they can pop in LA. But when you think of these Seattle artists, a lot of Seattle artists want to pop in Seattle, but it doesn't happen for them. They're like, oh, you know what? Even the older heads, like I just had on Greg Scott from Kung Fu Grip. He was like, nope, no way. You can't pop in Seattle. You got to get the fuck out of here. So with you, you took that approach of leaving Seattle,
Yeah.
but it wasn't just it wasn't a great outcome right away. So talk to me about the events that led up to actually leaving Seattle and what happened once you left Seattle.
Yeah, so leading up to when I left, so it was my senior year, 2017, Nathan Hale High School, and like I said before, like I've been a basketball player since middle school, and that was my main focus. Like I wanted to play Division I basketball. I'm 5'7".
Same.
Yeah, so it's tough for me, like playing at the highest level, like of high school basketball, which I was. Like
Wow.
I was playing with like the best basketball team in the country, which to this day is just hard to even fathom. I'm very grateful that it's been a part of my life. But at that point, I just felt kind of like, damn, like everybody around me is so dope at basketball, and they're getting these offers and they know what they're about to do. And I wasn't exactly sure like what my path was gonna be. I knew I was like making some noise and traction on SoundCloud, just from some independent grinding I've been doing for like 3 years. And so I transitioned over to music. I started working on a project called Innocence is Ignorance, and that's what this tattoo is.
Hell yeah. Point it out so the camera can see that.
Yeah, let's see.
Woo!
So I. So that was my first tattoo ever. And it was like a commitment to, it was like an artist statement. Like, this is going to be something that like I commit to and see it through. And the concept behind it was like, innocence is ignorance because like you won't know until you've experienced it. So like a lot of people live without experiencing real life and adversity.
Yeah.
So they might move with a certain level of ignorance, and that's not even a diss, but it's like you can see it come out, you know, when people act that way. But anyways, that was like at a time where I was actually kind of ignorant and innocent. So I felt like I wanted to give myself more life experiences. So I was like, and I've always been the type of person to like be an independent thinker and think outside the box and like make kind of rash and radical decisions. And at that time, you know, nobody was really thinking it was a good idea.
Wow.
But like my grandma was like, but my grandma, she believed in me. So I live with my grandma since I was like young.
So a key figure in your life.
Key figure in my life, like raised me. And I presented it to her, and she was like, well, you know, you got a job coaching. I was coaching at my former AAU program, and she's like, you know, you could go to college, you know, you can go to community college, you know, work your way up, you know, play on the team, take music classes. Like, are you sure this is what you want to do? And I was like, yes, like, I'm going. So, I mean, I guess, like, it was just kind of confusion. It was just that, like, time of a lot of young people's lives where they're, like, transitioning from high school into adulthood.
Right.
And trying to figure out, you know, what their path is going to be. And I was trying to pave my own. And so that's what led up to that. And
were you planning to move to LA, or was this like a trip, a full-on move?
I was planning on fully moving, and it was funny. I went with like my backpack and like one check bag.
Wow.
So I was just planning on just like, I don't know. It's funny thinking back to that mentality that I had, because I just thought I could make something out of nothing.
Right.
But I just didn't have any plans. I didn't have really any real plans. I was just like, I'm gonna get there and I'm gonna figure it out. Which sounds crazy, but you know, I just knew that in order to achieve some type of success in music, like, there was no blueprint for me. So I was like, I have to do something different. I can't try to do what everybody else is doing. Like, I can't, you know, keep being an underground SoundCloud artist. Like, I have to figure out who to meet.
And how long were you doing rap at this point? 3 years, you're saying, or even longer than that?
So my dad's a soul singer. So I've been like musical my whole life and been singing my whole life. I sang in church growing up. I was like the lead singer in Jesus Christ Superstar at my church.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I love that.
Shout out CSL, Center for Spiritual Living. But so like I have always had a love and passion for music, and my mom like always would play like a bunch of 90s hits and have the radio on, and she always sang, and we would come up with like parodies and stuff together of songs. So I feel like just naturally it's always been in me. And then In middle school, I started like really falling in love with poetry in my English class, and then from then on, I just started like messing around writing rhymes and writing lyrics, and then I started doing little remix videos and did like a remix to "You Be Killin' 'Em" by Fabulous.
Ooh,
I did a cover of Deuces.
Okay.
And so I was putting stuff out here and there in middle school, and then in high school, kind of just like focused fully on basketball. But then sophomore year, I took a music survey class, started producing, and that got me back into music. So I was producing, and then I was like, oh, I'm kind of nice at this. Like, I feel like my stuff stands out a little bit in this class. So from then on, like, I started a SoundCloud and just started like uploading my stuff, and nobody was listening. It was just something I was doing just because I just wanted to start it and see where it went. And just gradually throughout the years, like, my plays increased, and I started making stuff that people were paying attention to at my school. I made this one song called Easy, where it was a singing song, and nobody knew I sang. So everybody's like, this is you? And I've gotten that a lot throughout my career because people don't know that I do both, like that I rap and that I sing. So like, they'll hear me rapping, and then they'll hear a song that I'm singing, and it sounds like a completely different artist. So they're like, this is you? So anyways, like, that's kind of the history of how I got into all of that. But
so it was like personal. That was like years and years of buildup. So for you, it seemed like it was destined. From the outside, people were like, what? No.
Right.
I get that. I kind of feel that. Yeah.
Yep. So I feel like I knew it because I'm like, I know this is inside me, but I have to get right with myself. I have to make people believe it. I have to be confident. I have to be able to perform it. There's so many aspects to it. You can't just be like, I'm talented. Like, I got the talent. Like, everybody's like, cool, bro. Like, who are you? So that journey is long, bruh. Like, and you have to face adversity to grow. So, you know, there's many times where I just thought about, you know, taking a more normal route and just doing what my grandma said and doing what the people who were advising me to do better things said. And that was all what seemed logical, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, I don't care what happens. Like, I'm gonna figure this out, and it's gonna be grand. Like, it's gonna be amazing. And so I always had that in the back of my mind, the whole time to this day.
So do you even? This must have been like a huge part of your life. So do you like remember the month you went and everything like that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I graduated high school, and then I think like the spring season was over, and then I was just kind of chilling in my basement, making music, just being a goofball and just like making ignorant stuff and and just not really caring about really anything. Like, I didn't want to go back to work. I didn't want to even go to school. I just didn't want to do anything except for music. And I also didn't really have like a clear path with music. It was just like, I knew I was talented. And I was very braggadocious as well, and like pretty arrogant at that time, and just started hanging out with people who I thought I could maybe build something with, and all of those friendships that I built around that time have fallen through since. So it was like, wasn't really the right people for me. And that's when I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna just dip off and do my own thing. I'm about to do a whole 180. And so I just came up with the idea and was like, I'm about to do it.
Wow.
And then told my grandma. She was probably the first person I told, and then slowly but surely I started telling a couple other people in my life. And then when I had $1,000 that my aunt had gave me, and she was like, use this to have a nice vacation, you know, like a weekend trip, you know. And I told her I was going to LA. I don't think I told her I was moving to LA with that money though. Like, she probably would have been like, are you crazy? Like, I gave you this money so you could have an amazing vacation, like, not so you could fuck up your life. So, but I used $1,000 to get a ticket, and then the rest of that money was just for when I got to LA.
Yeah.
So that was, I think, around July, I think, is when I left. It was like right after I dropped my Innocence is Ignorance project.
Oh.
Yeah. So at least I had that. Like, I felt like I had something to show for. You know, I had like a prototype in the works that if I was able to make it into any of the buildings I had envisioned, Because I had known there's like buildings that, you know, artists can go in, and, you know, there's all these stories of how people have met people and got their way in. And
Yeah.
I just believed that I could figure it out somehow, which that wasn't even how, like, years later, you know, this is all like,
we'll get into that. Yeah,
right.
sure.
We'll get into that. But so that never even happened. It was
Wow.
just like, that was the idea. Like, I'm gonna go out there and make something happen.
And have you performed at that point before, like concert venues and stuff like that?
Actually, yeah.
Okay.
Around that time, so when I made the project, I linked up with Archers. I don't know if you're familiar, but it's like Royce David, Lily Silver, Matondo, Nate Travelis, Nathan Nzanga.
I love Nathan.
Yeah. and Isaiah Brown is actually who, like, well, he didn't introduce. I started peeping his stuff because you know, I followed him just because of basketball, because he's one of the best guards in the state. And he made a project called Coldest Summer, and with Royce, and I was like, yo, this nigga is nasty. Like, he's a hooper, but he's like really nice at music.
Wow.
Like, he was singing too and melodizing and stuff. So I'm like, damn. And I could tell, like, obviously he couldn't have done that alone. So I'm like, damn, who is this Royce David kid? Like, he's talented as shit. I was like, how can I, like, link with him? Because I felt like I could use some help on the production end. Like, I've always had like an ear, but I'm like, clearly he has like a working formula. So I was trying to figure out my way into that circle, and we have like a family connection. I don't think we're really cool like that anymore, but Isaac Jacuzzi, like, his grandma, I like worked on her farm like back in like 6th grade or whatever, because she's like an honorary grandma to my cousins.
Wow.
So my cousins brought me up there, and I like got in with their family and met Isaac and his brother Zeke, and so I didn't really know him much like that. But then in high school we reconnected because we both did music, and I was like showing love to his music, and he was like showing love to mine. So we had reconnected. And he's the one that like introduced me to Archers.
Okay.
So eventually, you know, I kind of had a couple contacts and started utilizing them, and asked Royce if he would help me mix my project, mix and master, and I paid him $700 that I got from being a Patriot at my school.
Oh, wow.
So I got like it's called the Eric Benson Scholarship.
Okay.
And they say you could use it for. This about to be a long ass podcast, bro.
Here we go.
No, but you could use it. They say you could use it for like academics. You could directly, you know, get it put into your school, or you could get it directly put into the bank. I'm like, give me the money to the bank, like, and I took that money and paid $700 to Royce to mix and master my project. He did a great job, but it wasn't like an intimate experience. Like, we never got like tight or cool or anything. And I could tell, like, at the time, like, I was like, okay, he gonna do this, and then that'll be that. But it's funny, from that, like, I linked up with the other artists, you know, off and on, through other producers that we knew, and just because I fucked with them and they fucked with me, and I still have like those connections I still have to this day. I love all of those dudes. But they had done a show, so and around that time I was still cool with all of them, and they put me on. Like,
wow.
Frankly, they put me on, and like let me have my own little like 15-minute slot. And I brought my bro Dempsey.
Okay.
So we performed together, and he performed a few songs that we had together, and I performed my shit, and I had a few songs with them too. So we performed songs that I had with Archers, and that show was fun as fuck. It was at the Crocodile, and I just remember, like, I was definitely there. I came prepared. That was one of my better shows.
Wow.
I had like my Innocence is Ignorance merch. I had just a black tee with the white logo.
There we go.
So yeah, I performed there, and I've been performing in talent shows all throughout my K through 8 experience, and I performed at a couple of school dances at my high school.
Oh yeah.
And so I've always liked the spotlight, I guess. Like,
yeah.
You know, I won't say like it's not the attention I like. It's just that I like performing and entertaining.
Yeah.
And music and live music. So, but yeah,
Dude,
I've performed a bunch of times.
I was in a scholarship program for 2 years. It's called the United Negro College Fund. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I have, yeah.
And So the first year I did it, I didn't realize you were supposed to be a senior to do it, like to actually get the money. So I did it junior year and senior year.
Yeah.
And I won junior year, but I couldn't get the money. So it's just like, oh, you get an award.
Yeah.
Second senior year, I win again. So back to back. And the award was $500. So at this point, senior year had ended because I graduated in 2019. And I was deciding whether or not I wanted to actually go to school or pursue radio. Because towards the end of my senior year, I got hired at 92.5.
Fire.
And I was like, shit, there's no radio school in Washington. Yeah. So if I wanted to pursue radio in college, I'd have to leave Washington and give up this job I had just gotten. So I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to stay here. I don't really want to go to school anyways. But then I just realizing now, I never got that $500. So I'm like, I could, because it was sort of gone straight to like a school for like a deposit. Yeah. But I didn't go to school. So where the hell is my money?
Right. Where does the money go? The hell?
That's $500. There's a lot you can do with that, honestly.
Yeah, for real. Especially at that age, like when you're just you're just getting into working. You might not have that much money saved.
Dude, I had just gotten my first car, and my family wouldn't let me be on their plan. So I was working at 92.5 and Starbucks, but my car insurance was $600 a month. So I had my dream job, but I was only saving maybe like $100 a month because my insurance was straight for the car. Yeah. It was, oh my God.
Yeah, I wasn't saving no money around that time. I was just spending it on dumb stuff.
Wow.
Put it like that. I'm a coach now, so it's like I'm literally coaching like today. Like I'm coaching 12-year-olds and stuff. So
dope.
Actually recently I've been trying to like really like monitor my my presence, my image, stuff like that. But because I would go into like some other stuff, like I'll just say I was like smoking hella like around that time, so I was spending hella money just smoking, and wasn't a good idea. Like, to each their own, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, like that's another aspect of my life. So I'm probably not gonna get into that too much in this
no worries
podcast. But yeah.
Wow, dude. So how did you get this coaching job?
I got this coaching job just from my like longtime mentor and coach and big bro, Kelly Edwards. He's like a very recognizable face in the AAU and basketball scene in Seattle. He's changed like so many kids' lives, changed my life. And there were some years that I was lost. He gave me the opportunity back when my senior year to coach, and then I feel like I just wasn't ready to go back to it once the spring season was over. I was just like, all right, I coached, like I'm out of high school, like I'm just gonna willy-nilly be an artist and not care what nobody has to say. So for a few years, I think like it's just out of the question for me to come back to coaching. But now, like, I think he realizes what I've been up to, maturing, and he gave me another opportunity to coach again, and I couldn't turn it down. I was just like, man. So yeah, that's who Kelly is. He's like, man, who can I compare him to? I don't know. He's just a
Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, perfect, exactly.
There we go. That's awesome, because I think it's different for everybody, but I honestly probably don't start remembering things until I was like, actually, this is kind of late, but like 10 or 12. That's when I feel like I actually had like a brain, Yeah. So I feel like that's the perfect time to like train kids to do sports and stuff. Of course, they can start young, but like I remember I did a lot of like sports when I was younger, but I specifically remember like my coaches and the programs I did when I was 10 through 12 for some reason. Like when I was 10, I don't think he lives in Seattle anymore. Maybe he does, but Nate Robinson, he did this basketball camp where I lived. So like I would do the basketball camp and he would coach it, and then like that's how I like met his kids. I'm not close to his kids. They probably don't even know who I am anymore. But when I was 10, I knew his kids. And one thing I actually remember the most about the basketball camp is his kids looked just like him. Yeah. But like kids, it was weird. Like his this is so bad, but it's the only thing. His daughter looked exactly like him, but just
Word.
longer hair.
Yeah.
I was like, holy
Yeah.
shit.
Right.
That was so fun. And then I completely forgot about Nate Robinson up until the boxing match.
Mm-hmm.
That was crazy.
So wait, did you see? Cause I like that was one of my more successful videos, freestyle videos I posted right after his boxing match.
Which one was it? Because I've seen your freestyle videos.
Yeah, it was Nate. It was called Nate the Great Freestyle.
I don't know if I saw that one. Oh fuck.
It was just in response to it. Like
Wow.
I was watching it, obviously rooting for Nate. All of Seattle was, and I just felt like everybody was bagging on bro, and I'm like, this is one of my idols growing up, and I'm like, as an artist and as somebody who likes to speak up, I felt like, and it wasn't like it was. I didn't even think it would do anything. I just like
Right.
wanted to put it out there. I didn't even think he would see it either.
Mm-hmm.
And so I posted it, and he like had reposted it,
Oh shit.
and like it got like 200,000 views in like 2 days.
Where's it posted on?
It's on my IGTV.
Okay, because I was
Yeah.
looking through your YouTube and your SoundCloud.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that was huge for me. I was in Chicago for Thanksgiving with my family. This 2020 Thanksgiving, so literally just the last Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
And yeah, I just had watched the fight, responded, and he reposted,
Wow.
showed support, and yeah, I felt like I made some kind of connection there, which was huge for me, because I was like, I was really saying like to my family, I was like, I can't even imagine what like 6th grade me would be thinking right now and feeling, because I went to camps that he was at.
Yes.
And yeah, so
He's like a town hero, honestly.
absolutely, bro. Especially for little guys like me,
Yeah.
little basketball players like
Winning
me.
the dunk championship stuff.
Come on, bro. Go.
Wow.
Go.
See, the thing is that I think is so crazy about the Seattle. I'm just gonna, before I get into the Seattle music scene, I'm just gonna call it the Seattle scene.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm saying the scene, I mean everything from technology,
Yeah.
art, whatever. I feel like our scene in Seattle is so crazy. We got Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
We got some like crazy top of the line athletes here.
Mm-hmm.
We got dope ass artists, but I feel like none of them are meshing together. Like
I
you
agree.
see like Drake going to all these basketball games.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's like hanging out with these basketball players. You don't see artists hanging out with all these basketball players or football players.
Yeah, I agree.
Like freaking Russell Wilson and Sierra, that is like a power couple. That's insane.
Yeah, I think like, and I think a lot of people would agree, like that there's been this sort of like cliquey aspect to different pockets of Seattle and different people in Seattle, which I think is just a mentality that has plagued all of us.
Yeah.
And like, I've just like, because for a long time, and I think the mentality kind of comes from like, I'm gonna make it, and then it's fuck everybody, or like
Mhm.
me and my dogs, we gonna make it, and that's all I need. But I feel like, I don't know, you just cancel out so many opportunities and so many ways that you can impact like the city as a whole, you know, just rather than like reaching out and working with other people that you know might not know or be from another place like in the town. Like, so now I show love to anybody Seattle, like even if I don't have nothing to offer them, like I show love.
Mhm. Do you think this is a newer mindset? Because you're from North Seattle, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So you definitely were working with like the Nathan Zongas, Dempsey's, and stuff like that.
Yep.
But do you feel like from the beginning of your career you've always tried to spread out, or were you
No,
pretty cliquey at first too?
I was cliquey at first.
Okay.
I think I didn't realize the issues. I felt like I just wanted to find my crew and blow up with my crew.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that a few times. And, you know, I think I was just trying to force something and just find like, just trying to be a part of that culture. And then I realized like, nah, bruh, like there's a problem like just with the culture as a whole, or there's a problem in the culture. Not with the culture as a whole. There's a problem in the culture of people just being like, so, I don't know, like, I don't really, like, cliquey and just not fucking with each other and not supporting, like, you know, just wanting to be the one to make it. And so, I don't know, I've done a lot, like, there's so much that goes in between, like, what's changed and what's changed in me and, like,
Yeah.
why I don't feel that way no more. But, like, I just, like, have had a lot of spiritual awakenings and enlightenments and been like, you know, like reconnected with these connections I was telling you about earlier and actually making songs with them and working with them. And there's no ego behind it. It's just like we're just creating moments, and whatever happens, but if I fuck with you and you fuck with me, then let's do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still like, I've only been in the scene for like a year and a half, but it doesn't seem like there was, maybe I'm completely wrong. It didn't seem like there was like pockets in Seattle that actually blew up, but it does seem like your pocket is kind of like birthing all these crazy artists. You got Dempsey, Nathan. I think Nathan's still up and coming, but I think he's got a lot of traction behind him, especially with that short movie music video
So
he just released.
amazing, bro.
Little Mosey. Like, what do you think it is though? Because it seems like you guys are finding success some way or another, but it does seem like North Seattle, even outside North Seattle, like Everett area, it seems like they're finding success, but then they're missing all the connections all the way down from Seattle to Tacoma, and it's like no one knows who they are down there.
Yeah, and it's interesting because like I feel like there's been different eras of like different pockets of Seattle, like being able to put on from where they're from. I don't feel like the North has had like an era like this where there's so many like amazing artists, but there's always going to be eras. I mean, and that's never to discredit the artists that have come from the North End, like Saul. Saul. I mean, he went to Nathan Hill. That's like.
Is Sam LaChow from the North End? I don't even know where Sam.
Yeah, I think. Let me not say that because I don't know, but maybe. And there's plenty. Like, I don't want anybody to watch this and be like, "Hey, man, like, why didn't you say me?" Like, bro, I'm still learning. Like, but like, yeah, I think that there's been success like throughout different eras, and right now, like, I just know that like the people I have known for like the past 3 or 4 years have all gradually been growing, and now people are starting to take notice. And I think that's probably happening somewhere else as well. And I'm trying to start taking notice. Like, I'm happy to know about artists from different areas and be working with artists from different areas. Like I said, like PMO Showtime from the CD, Steegy from West Seattle, Zayside from Everett. So yeah, I
like the Everett artists, honestly. Like, they are kind of cliquey, but like they're so nice and they're like really hardworking. I like Everett
very much so. For sure.
So, how old were you and where were you in your career when Little Mosey popped off?
So, I was how old was I? This was back in 2017, right? When he popped off, I think.
I think it was. Maybe I didn't even hear who he was until like my senior year, so I didn't hear about him until like 2018, maybe early 2019. But he could have definitely blown up in 2017.
It could have been like end of 2017 because I think he might have dropped like Pull Up, like end of 2017.
Okay.
But around that time, I know is like when shit started really booming for him, and I had heard about him. I had actually met him just a few times, just through like mutual friends and shit. And it's funny, like the first time I met him, it was cool. It was just cool, and like he didn't know I did music, but he was like telling me about his, and I was listening to some of it. I'm like, bro, this is hard, like, and that was the first time, and it was cool. Next time I met him was horrible.
Oh, no.
But I'm not even gonna go into that. It's
worries.
it's just bad.
I would just think that you guys in some way or another I feel like you guys would be connecting on the of course it's kind of crazy. Realistically, he's almost like, if not yet, he's almost punching upwards to being like an A-list artist. It's kind of crazy.
I mean, yeah, definitely.
But it seems like you guys have felt like are dealing with the same situation when it comes to like figuring out who actually cares about your music and who you are as a person versus just trying to get some connection. Like, this was so crazy. Like 2 months ago, I've tried to reach out to Little Mosey every once in a while, but I'm never angry if no one reaches back out to me. I feel like there's always going to be a time and place. Just sometimes timing is everything. But someone had messaged me on social media and was like, "Oh, I know Little Mosey if you want an interview." I was like, "Oh, cool." And they're like, "Yeah, just pay me $50." I'm like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "Yeah, I'm close to Little Mosey, but all these people try to reach out to him. So I have people pay me $50 so they can talk to Little Mosey." I'm like, "What?" So people are Little Mosey's friends are making money off other people trying to get a connection with Little Mosey. I'm like,
yeah,
no thanks.
Right. I don't even like. I think like shit can start to get weird like as you start to see like that bigger level of success. And I for one know that I never seen nobody like from our area do what he did. And I think everybody was excited, and me being an artist, like I had reached out to him and shit and wanted to establish that. But And he actually like was like, yeah, it's 2K for the feature.
Holy shit.
Which now looking back on it, like being like the level of success like he had been reaching and now he's reached, like that's a reasonable
Well, think about it
price.
this way.
And I was mad, bro.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Like, I'm dope. Like, and that's how, you know, that's
I should
how a
have
lot of
spent my
people
LA money on that.
feel. Yeah, nah, but
He's a cool artist and all, and I appreciate what he's doing,
mhm.
but I don't think he has the clout to where if someone does a feature with him, they're gonna blow up. I personally don't see that. Like,
Yeah,
he
I
has
don't know.
he has his Seattle friends who make music with, like Band Kid J and stuff like that. I see but I think they're close with him versus like
Yeah, that's his fam.
if let's say some random artist, I'm just gonna make up a random name, Joe Blow.
Mm-hmm.
He's a newer artist from Seattle, and he's gonna have a feature with Lil Mosey. I feel like that could easily go under the radar and no one realizes.
Yeah, I'm sure there's probably been instances, but
I don't know.
yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, like everybody got to pave their own way. You know?
Exactly.
He made that happen for himself, so yeah.
Yeah, that's what. Going back to like the Greg Cypher interview I just did, you know about Kung Fu Grip and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was one of the things he was saying. The interview should be coming out in a few days. He was saying like they worked very hard, but it was almost like they were waiting for someone to give them that handout. They're like, we know we can work really hard, but we're gonna stay in Seattle and we're gonna wait for these artists from outside of Seattle to be like, oh, come on, tour with us and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's something about Seattle. I feel like it can become this music scene that everyone wants, but it definitely is about paving your own way.
Most definitely.
Do you feel the pressure of artists thinking that because you're popping off that you're supposed to shed some light on Seattle?
Sorry, my bad. Reiterate that one more time. I'm
Yeah,
trying
no
to
worries.
understand the question.
So I was saying how Kung Fu Grip basically, they never left Seattle,
Mm-hmm.
and they were waiting for that handout kind of.
Mm.
Which is a negative way to say it. I don't want them to think, because Kung Fu Grip worked really hard, but like it makes sense. They were hoping for a tour or something, and just as rap changed, they kind of got brushed under the rug. It's kind of sad.
Mm-hmm.
But with you now, a lot of artists, even so, the Kung Fu Grip era was kind of the era of Macklemore as well.
Mm.
So a lot of people during the interview, Greg talks about how a lot of people are either trying to get handouts from Macklemore or trying to copy Macklemore's sound.
Mm-hmm.
And after that wave, you do see a lot of artists kind of doing similar things when it comes to other artists that have blown up, whether it's Lil Mosey or whoever.
Mm-hmm.
And they also
Definitely.
think that like Lil Mosey is supposed to shed some light on Seattle.
Yeah.
But now you're the latest artist to basically popping out of Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see people, or do you feel a pressure of people thinking that you're supposed to shed all this light on Seattle and open up these floodgates?
Honestly, and like I'd say this in the like least arrogant way possible. Like I think people recognize like I'm a very positive person, so it's like, bro, how can you hate? Like I try my best like to shed light on who I fuck with, and if I see something dope, like even when people DM me, like I'll check out their stuff and listen to it and give them feedback. Like people ask me like, hey, what's your feature price? And I always say like, I don't charge for features.
Wow.
If I fuck with it, I'll work with you. But 9 times out of 10, I'm not gonna work with somebody over the internet.
Right.
Like I like to meet people, feel their vibe, see if it's somebody I can actually like establish a real connection with. But yeah, I show love, you know, but I have my own life to live. You know, it's like I'm not like spending all day like trying to find everybody and shed light to everything. But there are music pages that are doing that. I got bros that run music pages that do that. And yeah, I mean, almost every day I'm reposting somebody's stuff. So I just do what I can, you know.
Yeah, that's good. I think people just gotta realize it. There's not, especially it's like I said before. It's something about the Seattle music scene, but everyone kind of has to find their own way because we're still in that phase where people outside of Seattle think that we're a grunge city.
Right. Yes. Still, man.
So you
honestly, bro, I think we're a hip hop city. Like
I think so too.
we're
Those
a
shows,
hip-hop city.
hip hop shows in Seattle.
Yeah.
Oh, they're awesome.
And it's like if you understand the hoop culture and what people are listening to, and not even just the hoop culture, but like kids who are fascinated by their like by the hoopers at their school, or like, and I'm not saying that the hoop culture is the only thing. I'm just saying that like hoop culture is huge in Seattle.
Yeah.
And hip hop goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
Black culture is actually huge in Seattle, but we don't get the spotlight. And it's just kind of like, damn, bruh, like, I don't know, like, I feel like it's always been here, but they try to put a different narrative on things.
Yeah.
And it's like, nah, like, I think it really leans a little bit more that way, but I don't know.
It's just find your own path, I think. I think people we're in this, even if you think about even social media alone is still like a newer thing.
Yeah.
So people are still trying to figure out like how to even use social media and what does it actually mean to be unique and be special.
Yeah. And also to add on to what I said, I would say that it also depends on what your like upbringing and your experience is, because you're also going to gravitate to what you fuck with.
All right.
So my reality is that like, oh, Seattle is like an up and coming like big hip hop metropolis and like black music metropolis. And I don't want to say black music again because I just want to put more spotlight on the black culture and black scene and music scene in Seattle. But yeah, man, I think like everybody has their taste. I just don't want people to think that we're not here.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you make all this music, you go to LA, and then you run out of money. How long does it take to run out of money?
I mean, dude, especially with my spending habits, that money probably lasts me like 2 weeks.
Oh shit! And how long were you in LA before? I'm guessing you came back to Seattle right after that.
I was out there for like 4 months.
Wow.
I was out there for like 4 months, and it just got worse. It just gradually got worse throughout those 4 months. Like that was one of the. I always reference that time in my life, just like damn. But it taught me a lot, and there's like so many different stories from that time that I could get into. Like there was nights where I was just literally sleeping at 24-hour fitness. I still had a 24-hour fitness membership, so I would go there and just either stay up all night or sleep on the basketball court.
24 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
There was a night where I slept just like in a outdoor like laundry closet on some concrete. Like I was like looking for, I don't even know why I was looking to rent some place because I didn't even have a job. Like I didn't even have any money saved. Like why are you I was applying for places like
Wow.
and going and visiting and meeting people. Like I met people in Venice. I was like, it'd be fire to have a place in Venice. So I like went to go. This lady was crazy, bro. She was like, yeah, so I'm actually gonna be like living with you. I'll just be checking in like every once in a while. I'm not gonna be here a lot, but and then she was like, oh yeah, and if you know anything about how to like help me with my social media, that would help, bro. The conversation I had with her was one of the weirdest conversations I've had with anyone. But now that was just a funny time in my life, bro. Like I was just having unrealistic expectations and goals.
Wow.
But yeah, that lasted about 4 months. Then I went back to Seattle.
Anything positive come out of that besides, of course, positive, like it made you grow, but like, did you make any crazy music connection that you made from LA while you were down there? Or was it just like basically a shit show?
Basically a shit show, bro. Like
wow.
it really nothing positive. Like
wow.
I can't say that it was. Like I will say that I was able to flip it, and like what I learned from it is the positive, right? Like
only happy mistakes, like Bob Ross says.
Right. But the experiences, nah, bro, they weren't positive.
Wow.
Like, honestly, like I felt like I was driving myself deeper and deeper into my own depression.
Wow.
And like a lot of people don't even know that part of my life. Like, and there's so many different aspects to my life that I touch on in music. Like Mind Over Matters, bro. Like that shit's a fun record. Like it's just like fun and like my positive side. But like I have a lot of songs that talk about like some of the deeper or even darker things that I've been through in life. But yeah, around that time, bro, like, you know, my arrogance turned into like low self-esteem and like just a lot of self-doubt and felt directionless. I never had thoughts of suicide. I'm glad.
And how'd you get through that? It's probably always an everyday thing that you got to work through, but like,
yeah, I had a lot of family support, you know, and even though I was like a dick to my family, like I'm just glad that they stuck through it with me.
Wow, that's important.
Yeah. And you know, I had people just saying things that probably went into my subconscious and helped me get through. But at the time I wasn't even really a good listener either, so I couldn't even really, you know, I didn't even feel like anybody had my back. I didn't feel, and plenty of people did. And I was honestly, I don't know where I would be if I didn't have the help that I had. When I came back to Seattle, you know, my grandma like let me stay in the same basement that I grew up in.
Wow.
And then I moved back to LA again.
Wow.
So it was like it was a bunch of back and forth actually. And because I was like, I didn't want to move back to Seattle. I was just like, I just gotta like regroup, and then I'm gonna go back out there and I'm gonna do it better this time. And then I went back out and I actually did do it better. Like, but it still just wasn't a great time of my life. And I ended up like rooming with these kids my age. It's hella random too. Like I met them one day, like we made a genuine connection, and then I was like, yeah, I've just been struggling low key, trying to find somewhere to live and shit. And like, shit, I'll pay you guys if you guys let me just stay on this couch.
Wow.
And they said yes. Like,
wow.
Surprisingly enough, and I did. And then I got a job at Shake Shack working on Hollywood Boulevard at Shake Shack.
Ooh. Is this before Shake Shack came to Seattle?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I remember them actually saying something about like their one opening in Seattle, like if I went back and wanted to transfer.
Oh, shit.
I also worked at Fat Sal's, which I got fired from.
Uh-oh. What happened there?
I got caught doing something I should have been doing.
Uh-oh.
I think by like, she was like, it's funny too, she's like probably like a year younger than me, this blonde white girl. And I did my job well, bro. Like I sweep them floors better than anybody there.
Wow.
Wash them tables, like, and I was, but I will say, I was too friendly, like, to customers. Like when people came in, I would just be like talking to people, and like they're like, dude, like get back to work, bro. Like, so that could have been it too, but you know, I don't think my coworkers was my friends, bro.
Oh God.
Yeah, I don't think they was my friends. Like I got fired.
Oh.
So, and I was trying to think of all the reasons why, but I remember the dude like handed me it, and he looked like he didn't even want it. He fucked with me. Like the main manager there, he looked like he didn't even want to hand it to me. He was like, dude, like, sorry, bro. And
you're like, haha, this is just gonna fuel my music.
Yeah, exactly. No, I was like, y'all gonna see, you know. But yeah, so I worked those two jobs. And yeah, around that time, you know, I didn't know what shit was gonna turn into. But I was in LA. I had an apartment for a while. Then I got evicted, and then, bruh, like, and this will come. I'll talk about this story another time. But what made me leave LA is I went through a traumatic experience that, I think honestly was a catalyst for me like making major changes in my life, and really humbling myself, because it was a situation I got myself in for sure.
Wow.
So I went back to Seattle and was really, really depressed, like, after everything I had been through. And, you know, people may not have seen it because, like, I feel like I don't know, like, there's pictures that I look at of that time, and I'm like, I don't even look like the same person.
Wow.
Like, and I think that's kind of what depression does to you. But, yeah, I just remember at that time just being like, I'm done, bro. Like, I ain't doing shit. Like, I'm really a loser. Like, I went to LA and nothing worked out. And like and that time my streaming had slowed down, and like, so I just felt like, damn, bro. And then I had like some enemies that I had made over the years, and so I was hella anxious and worried about people who didn't like me, and had some beefs that didn't make me feel comfortable in Seattle. So then I moved to the Bay Area and lived with my dad for the first time in my entire life.
Is this like a Drake and his dad connection where his dad's still making music, or?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, my dad's super cool. And an amazing artist and
wow.
soul artist, and is like one of my main influences musically. But them 3 months were crucial, bro. Like having my dad in my life and getting to connect with him in a way that I never had was like life changing.
Wow.
Also, before that, I had been sleeping on Dempsey's floor. Like,
oh, shit.
So Dempsey, yeah, like he.
When did he start popping off? By the way, is it more recently or?
Well, he grinded. Like he's been grinding for years. We've been doing music since we was little, bro. Like we used to busk at Folk Life and put out a hat.
Oh, Folk
like
Life.
When we was hella young, bro. Like 11 and 12 and shit. But yeah, like he's blown up over the past few years just from like grinding.
Wow.
He like told me, he was like, bro, I'm telling you, bro, you got to start doing this TikTok shit. Like, he was like, you got to get on it, bro. It's going to be the next wave. And this was like when TikTok was first starting to hear people like blow up off of TikTok. And he was telling me he was going to do it. And then he did it. And he got a deal.
Oh, shit. From TikTok.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, damn, that's tough. So,
wow.
yeah, but that's that. But anyways, yeah. So, but me and Dempsey go way back, bro. Like, my family's known his family before we were both born.
Wow.
Because his older siblings. So my grandma taught at this school called AS1. It was a K-8 school in Pinehurst, which is now relocated and it's not called that anymore. But my grandma, she taught there. It's like a hippie K-8 school. And his older siblings went there. So my grandma, when I was like born, like had me in classes with his older sister.
Wow.
Yeah. And then he went to the school and I went to the school. And then around like 3rd grade, we started like hanging out here and there just with between our families. And then like I think every year we've just got closer since. Like,
wow.
So that's my brother. Yeah. That's how I think of him. He's just my brother.
Those are some great connections, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow. So what was the first pivotal moment where you started seeing, well, people started seeing this buzz around you? So I'm guessing it happened after all this LA stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So is this in the past year or so?
The first buzz, I would say, is when I moved. So I lived with my dad for 3 months in the Bay, and then I finally came back to Seattle. And it took a lot because I was nervous. I was like, do I still got those enemies? Are they still like, not fucking with me? Like, or are they gonna try to fuck with me? Like, type shit. And then I had stayed actually with my brother's dad because we have different dads. But
Okay.
my little brother, and I was like, he let me use his room and like his bed and
Wow.
super selfless. He didn't even give a fuck. Like, I love my brother, man. But so, and then at that time in my life, I was just grateful. I was grateful that people still was like giving me a chance, not just Xing me out of their lives. And because honestly, bro, I have one of those kinds of stories like where, it's kind of hard like for anybody to help because they're like, bro, we don't like how you treat us. And like, we don't like how you not like doing the things you're supposed to be doing like as an adult.
Right.
But that's why I say I'm like forever grateful for people sticking it through with me through that time.
Shout out to those people.
Shout out to those people, bro. And then my grandma told me like, this template that she used for a while, like writing down her goals. And it was like Wednesday before is daily writing. She said, do it every day. Like your day before, your gratitudes and your affirmations. And that'll start helping you like feel like you have direction and achieving goals. So I started doing that. And it's funny. I mean, I guess I subscribed to it. I was just like, I believed it. I was like, I believed what she was saying. And because I needed it. I had no other options. I felt like I was like, I got to make something happen. My family's here supporting me. My grandma gave me a van that I could drive and stuff. So I was like, I can rebuild my life and figure something out. And so I started posting freestyle videos like every day almost. And I went from like 300 because I restarted my Instagram when I moved to my dad's. I deleted my whole social media presence.
Oh, wow.
Lost hella memories too.
Wow.
Just because of my anxiety. And feeling like I didn't want to be on the internet. I wanted to be faceless and nameless like at that time. And so then I had to restart my social media again. And I had to, because I had followers from back when I was on a successful basketball team. But then I lost that all when I just decided to do that. So then I was like starting from ground zero again. I actually had a manager though that had discovered me when I was before I went to my dad. So my manager discovered me on SoundCloud when I was sleeping on Dempsey's floor.
Were they from Seattle? Or?
No.
Wow.
I hadn't even met him, bro. Like,
oh, shit.
He just emailed me. And I was so desperate at the time, bro. Like, I'm just glad that he's actually a good dude. But I was so desperate at the time that I was just like, obviously I wasn't going to just blindly go into this situation. Like, we talked for like 4 hours, the first phone call we ever had. And he explained to me his life story. I explained to him mine. But being that he was so open and honest, and then he was listening to my story non-judgmentally, I was like, okay, well, at least this is somebody I could like, talk to and not somebody who's on some surface level shit. Mm-hmm. And he was like, dude, you're extremely talented. Like, what, you know? And he's just kind of like, damn, like, you know, well, and I don't even know what his mindset was at the time. He just believed in me. And I don't know why. I'm grateful that he did. He saw something. And he managed multiple NBA players at the time.
Oh, shit.
Which was crazy to me. I'm like, and he was moving into music. And I was his like second artist or something like that.
Wow.
And but yeah, anyway, so then he had been my manager, and we were keeping up and stuff, and I had a few songs that he liked, and we were trying to, but none, and it's funny, all of the songs at that time that we were thinking about like being my first like songs and singles, none of them have been released or even like worked on that much, besides one that's a very special song that will come out one day.
Ooh, excited.
But
those are the best songs, the ones you hold on to for a while.
Definitely. But yeah, he believed in me, and around the time that I deleted all my social media, he was like, dude, man, this dude's crazy. Like, and I was like, my anxiety really was getting the best of me. Like, I just remember going down so many different rabbit holes of like conspiracy videos.
Oh shit.
And that shit'll fuck with you, bro. Like,
oh god.
Which, because a lot of those people are uneducated. Like, a lot of those people, and I'm saying a lot of those people are like people who just sit at home and pull a couple pictures and videos and like literally create a theory.
Yeah.
And they're very convincing, very believable. And there's probably truth in like different places. But anyways, at that time,
that's how I know I hit rock bottom.
That's how I know. Exactly.
Oh,
That's how I know I hit rock bottom. I was just like being like immersed in just like negativity, honestly. So yeah, bro, like I was just in a bad place mentally. I told Chris, I was like, I'm done. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
That's the name
like,
of your manager?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I told Christian, I was like, I'm done. I don't want to do music anymore. It's full of a bunch of just people I don't want to fuck with, like things I don't want to fuck with, energies I don't want to fuck with. That's how I felt. I was just like, there's no good way for me to make this happen. So I just was completely in self-doubt. And he was like, look, bro, like, if you want to do that, then fine. But like, you know, he's like, I've been rocking with you, you know, for the past like 4 months, believing in you, you know, we can still make things happen, but you just have to get through this time. You have to get through this mental stuff that you're going through. You have to see through it. And, you know, I was trying to understand what he was saying, because in my mind, everything I was thinking was real, you know?
Yeah.
And it was just mentally the state I was in. But, yeah, so then I moved back to Seattle, and I after staying with my dad, I felt like I had accomplished something in my life. And I was like, okay, like, I'm a better person than I was before I came to my dad's.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was going back to Seattle with just like a little bit more motivation and inspiration. And I felt like my dad believed in me, because in that time I had been making music, not for anybody, just for me and for him, because I wanted him to like it. So I felt like I was shifting my focus to something more positive and like more me. So then I went back to Seattle and just started writing to hella classic beats, and then just was posting to my Instagram. And I went from 300 followers to 3,000 in 3 months.
Wow.
And like, just naturally. And like, the people who I kind of fallen out with and disconnected with over the years, like, all started showing back up and showing love. Like, and you know, in a positive way. Like, and they probably just wasn't tapped in with me, because I was just doing whatever I was doing.
So it felt good then?
Felt great. It felt like, damn, like I didn't lose these people. Like, I thought that because of how my life had changed and the ways I had done so much self-destruction, I feel like, and then even just like, you know, not keeping up with people or having weird conversations with people in the times that I was, you know, not doing well, like the fact that they all still came back and, you know, was like, dude, this is fire. Like, you know, glad to see you're doing better. Like, stuff like that just was like, okay, like, my people haven't given up on me. And so, and then just more people started tapping in, and people who didn't know me at all started showing love, and people that followed me from those freestyles to this day that still message me and are like, yeah, I've been here since that. And
any tips, by the way? Were you using certain hashtags?
Nope. Nope. They was just reposting.
Wow.
Like, hella people was just reposting it or stories. And it was like, every time.
Wow.
And I put my best foot forward every time. I would record like 99 takes and pick the one I like the most.
Wow.
And then post it. And I did that like, I want to say like at least 15 times before I went to New York and met with like 5 different labels.
Wow. Wait, so you met with labels from these freestyles?
Yeah, well, kind of. I also made a connection around the time that I was living with at my dad's house. So there's, like I said, there's a lot of different like tangents and different stories in between. But yeah, like around that time too, I had met Alex Rifkin and his dad, Steve Rifkin.
Is that the person who introduced you to Sway, or am I off on that?
Yes.
Okay, it is.
Yes. And their connections run so deep, bruh. Like, so Steve founded Loud Records, which is Wu-Tang, Mobb Deep, Big Pun, Fat Joe, Remy Ma, like, list goes on, Pete Rock, like,
wow,
legends. And I hadn't heard his name before, and like, before Chris told me about him and them, and so we set up a meeting, and I had been talking to them I've been talking to Alex for a while on the phone, and I had actually met him on Tiana Taylor's tour, because he was like, he had an artist that was opening for her, and I met him at that tour.
Was that in Seattle or?
Mm-hmm. It was at Showbox.
Wait, Tiana came to Seattle?
Yeah.
How did I not know this?
Yep.
Wow.
And I just remember being backstage at that, just like, wow, like I'm really here, like this is dope, like, and so I felt like, okay, like I'm with some people who actually have real connections and like who actually can help me move forward. So then we got that meeting, and he told me, Steve like heard my music. He heard like 5 or maybe 3 of my songs, and like on the 3rd song, he was like, "You're gonna be a star." He was like, "You're a star." Like,
wow.
And to hear that coming from his mouth, being somebody who's like worked with everybody, I was like, for real? Like, you really, like, somebody really believes in me like that? Like, so, because I've always believed in myself to an extent, but at that level, you never know, like, if what you have is good enough to actually like take it that far. And so I didn't actually know, but he told me that, and I felt like, damn, like I have to believe in myself now. Like, so it just inspired me to go harder. So actually, yeah, that was before I moved back to Seattle.
Wow.
And I moved back to Seattle and was just like hungry. I was just like, okay, like I'm at this tipping point of like, this could come to fruition, but I have to keep going so that I don't let it slip away.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kept going, and I remember Zaire Wade like commenting on one of my videos because I mentioned him, and he knew Alex. That's Dwayne Wade's son and shit. So
yeah,
and he showed love, and I was in my brother's room at his dad's house, like in Shoreline, reading these comments and seeing people like showing love, like, and I was also going on people's lives and trying to like do freestyle talent shows and stuff like that. And
dude, that was the funniest thing I've ever seen. When you went on Sway at the end, you're like, wait, Sway.
I had to.
You had to.
Bro, I had to spit for him.
That was awesome.
You know what I'm saying?
The young brother's got a freestyle for us.
Got
He's hyenas.
Got to. Oh yeah, and that was surreal to hear him say that, because I was watching his videos back in like high school, being inspired. But so yeah, and then I went to New York like after I had gained traction, and it had nothing. I was already like, that trip was kind of already planned. But I just felt like in that time I wanted to continue to prove myself, because when I got there, I wanted to have more leverage walking in, and for them to be like, okay, we actually do have something here. I had good songs and good demos, but I didn't have social media following. I didn't have a hit. I didn't have what a lot of artists do that get deals from like major labels and shit. But I met with Def Jam, I met with Republic, I met with Atlantic, and I did a couple other meetings in LA on another trip. But so we were just kind of like shopping these demos around and seeing who was gonna fuck with us. And
your manager was with you when you did all this, or
yeah,
who?
It was Christian and Alex.
Oh wow.
So they've like co-managed me since then.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Yeah. And Atlantic took a chance on me.
Wow. And when I looked it up, it's like a it's Chosen One / Atlantic. So tell me about Chosen One.
So Chosen Music is an independent label. So we're like backed by Atlantic, but
that's how most labels are. I feel like, right? Most artists are kind of signed to, like Macintosh. He's signed to some Blockstar, but it's under Warner or something like that.
Yeah, I think. Well, every situation is different.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of different kinds of structures, but like, yeah, that's how ours was.
Okay.
And I just like, from what we had proposed with our independent label, I was rocking with it. He was like, "You gonna have full creative control. I can make whatever music I want. I don't need no writers. I don't need no producers." All right. Well, they introduced me to producers, but
Yeah.
for the most part, I'm just like, I don't want nobody to tell me what my music is gonna be. That's the number one thing. Nobody's gonna change me, but if you fuck with me, then dope. I'm just surprised, that like, I'm not surprised, but like, they haven't dropped me, and I still haven't got a hit. Like, that shit's crazy to me. But so it's like they must believe in my future. But I don't know, like, I would just say that the Chosen and Atlantic situation is just a huge blessing and something that I just wanted to utilize to the best of my ability, and I'm just grateful. Like, I'm just a kid from Seattle, from Lake City, Seattle, that was trying to make a way for myself, and eventually through all of the shit that I went through, like, something real came out of it.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
So tell me about this Fat Joe lunch.
Dude, like I said, Alex and Steve, like, they all go way back. But yeah, they brought me like along with them when they was going to get lunch, and I sat down and got to talk to him and just kick it. Like, it was 4 of us. It was Fat Joe and his bro, Steve, and me and Alex.
Damn.
And I was just humbly just sitting there listening. Like, he asked me a few questions, and yeah, I was just like, this is surreal, man. Like, this is amazing. I'm all the way up. I think that's what I put the caption up.
Fat Joe is awesome. That's such a dope person to have lunch with.
Yeah, bro.
Holy shit.
He was so cool too, bro. Like,
been around forever too.
Yeah, he was so cool.
Wow.
And yeah.
So who are your top 3 artists that you want to have a feature with or collab with?
It's interesting. I'm gonna just say this before I answer, because I do have answers, but I've also come to a place now where I don't want to ever expect that they'll happen, because then I'll be disappointed, and I don't want to be disappointed. I'll just be grateful if they do. So J. Cole, Drake, and Kendrick.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's my biggest like inspirations, I would say, in this shit. So
we can see that. I feel that that's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. Exactly.
There we go. Or you
I'll
can
make
do
what I say happen.
You can do like you can do that Jeezy thing. When was it? That was like 2 or 3 albums ago. It was like 2 or 3 albums ago for Young Jeezy. He had J. Cole and Kendrick on a song. It was called like Amazing or something. Did you hear that song? Or was it American? It was called like American Dream or something like that. Started with an A, but it was like out of nowhere because J. Cole and Kendrick hadn't collabed in forever. And I was like, holy shit.
I probably heard it. I just got to refresh myself.
But I see you, dude. You're gonna do great things. You're already doing great things.
Man, thank you, bro.
I think that's what I love about these podcasts. I feel like people assume their own images of other people. Like they're like, this guy has everything. He's doing fine. But there's so much stuff that goes on. Everyone's their own person. Everyone has stuff going on. So I feel like these podcasts help make people personable.
Yeah, everybody has so many amazing stories, bruh. Like, amazing stories like that I just hear from people that I didn't even know. Like, when Dempsey tells me about the things that he's been accomplishing and like the things that have led up to what his success has been, I just am always just like, man, like, you set your intentions, you can make really amazing things happen.
Hell yeah.
And yeah.
And I have one final question for you. I know my co-host, shout out Brian, this is the question he wants me to ask.
Okay.
So, I heard in your Sway freestyle, this is funny too, because you said you got your tattoo, ignorance is bliss. No, innocence is ignorance. Ignorance before you even knew much about it. And you're saying the same thing with the Indigo Child tattoo. And I even seen like your latest album before the deluxe, it had indigo in like that box. So tell me what it means, what Indigo Child means to you.
I was actually watching a Dick Gregory interview legend, Dick Gregory, comedian, activist. And he was actually talking about indigo children. This is just today, but I've known about indigo children since 2017, 2018, after I got my tattoo.
That's so crazy.
So I found out about that because my dad's stage name is Gerard Indigo my whole life. And so since I'm his son, and I had heard the term indigo child, but I didn't know anything about it.
Right.
But I was like, that would be hard. I'm his son, indigo child. And then I started looking it up after I got the tattoo. And it's like a spiritual thing. It's like people believe that indigo children are here for a purpose, that they know what they're supposed to do. And I don't buy into anything necessarily. I'm a very open-minded, I'm not super religious. I believe in God, and I always give all praise and glory to God, but it's I won't necessarily just subscribe to something. So it could just be a theory or whatever, but it connects with me. Indigo child, and just whoever else feels like they're an indigo child out there, or if it's a real thing. So I don't know, I feel like what they've described it as is people who are here to make a positive change.
Hell yeah.
In the world.
I have two podcasts. My second one is the BBC podcast, Blake Burton, Brian Barnett Conspiracies. And our first episode was on indigo children.
Oh, really?
And I haven't done anything to promote it, and it's been it's close to a year, but it has almost, for nothing that I haven't promoted at all, it has close to 1,000 views. I'm shit,
tough. There's
there's random people out there who are truly, I'm not saying I don't believe in it, but there's people who are fuck, I need to figure out more about indigo children. So they're actually looking it up on YouTube. And
I was because the title of the video for his interview was the universal God and indigo children. And in the comments, there were hella people being I've always felt different. I think I'm an indigo child. And I'm well, that's your explanation? And that's why it's for me, I'm very skeptical of just any man-made concept.
It was made by it was actually made by this lady.
Yeah.
In the 1970s or something.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wouldn't discredit it or, nothing. I'm interested to learn more.
Gotta be if you have it tattooed on you.
No, facts. But again, I got this from my dad.
Yeah.
Just to acknowledge that I'm always gonna have that connection with him, and yeah.
Wow. Okay, actually I have one more. This is just something that I've noticed. All your artwork is hand drawn. Is that you? Is that a friend? Who's doing that?
That's me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That shit's dope.
Thank you.
So how'd you come up with your Kateel logo?
I drew it, took it into Photoshop, cleaned it up, then took it into Illustrator, cleaned it up even more. And if you look at it too, it's they're all shaped like raindrops.
Yeah.
And initially the T was a space needle.
Oh.
Now it's my afro. So,
there we go.
Yeah.
You got to keep the afro then, man. Me too.
Yeah. I know. I've been thinking recently what I want to do next with my hair. I'm definitely not going to cut it though.
Because you can braid it, you can put it up in a bun. Once you have long hair, the options are limitless.
Facts.
Yeah. So, Kateel, what is some advice that you have for up-and-coming artists, creators, influencers?
Move with love and, support people when you see them. And if you can, repost people that you fuck with. Just don't be sleazy in this business. Try to do good business. And then just every day work for your dream, for you, because nobody's gonna do it for you. Nobody can do that for you. Nobody can just press the green button on your life. So my advice is just persevere and keep going. It sounds so cliche, but when people ask what's my best advice, that's what I did. I just had to keep going through everything I just talked about. The only difference between me and somebody in that situation who would have gave up is that I just didn't. I kept going.
There we go. What is the easiest way for people to reach you?
Just email or DMs, Instagram, yeah. Or yeah, and then of course, check out my music on all platforms,
Hell yeah.
Oh.
This is the NAST podcast with
Kateel.
There we
yes,
go.
Sir.